you go. In this life, we were born to fly, be free from strife, blaze through the sky. Whether you're chasing fame or chasing laughter, we are all human beings here to write our chapters. Many will point you in many directions, but it's you, my friend, who decides what happens. Let go of fear, work through the sadness, for you are strong, and that's what matters. You will face adversity and will be knocked down, so put your fist back up. It's time to fight the other rounds. When you're feeling blue, try to smile, for you are here to be the best you. In this life, we were born to fly, be free from strife, blaze through the sky. So that's it, right? To me, it's a work of masterpiece for myself, because I don't like to write. I mean, it's weird because I like to write and I don't like to write. Kind of a love-hate relationship with it, but I've always, just enjoyed it. It's kind of, freeing. It kind of like this podcast allows me to, branch all these ideas that I've had going through, my life, and being able to share that with other people. And sometimes it hits home for other people. So I wanted to share that with you guys. But it also opened up my eyes that we, as human beings, are meant to find success in whatever we want to do. And it's completely up to us with what that looks like, right? A lot of us, myself included, we get so focused on success that we lose focus on what it actually is and what it means, right? And it was interesting. I was reading a book. It's by Viktor Frankl. He is a survivor of the Holocaust. And it was very interesting to see this quote that he had about, happiness and overall success. And I'm going to read that to you. So this comes from the book, Man's Search for Meaning. And the quote is, "For success, like happiness, cannot be pursued. It must ensue. And it only does so as the unintended side effect of one's personal dedication to a cause greater than oneself, or as the byproduct of one's surrender to a person other than oneself. Happiness must happen, and the same holds for success. You have to let it happen by not caring about it." Whew, man, that hit me hard the other day when I started reading this book, and it was eye-opening. It was a great feeling to, really just kind of have this quote. And I think a lot of the times when I talk to people, and even myself, we're all constantly chasing what we think is success. And we put it on this pedestal that once we reach this point, we're great, we're good, we're going to be the best we can be. And I thought it was really important for us to understand that success, we've got to stop looking at success as that. You've got to be able to flow with life and, not expect things. We talked about expectations a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month or so ago. But when it comes down to those things, we've got to be able to really, look at our success and not necessarily pay attention to that success. Do what we are supposed to do, and things will fall in line. And I've noticed in life, over several years, growing up, through my 20s and, now in my 30s, the times that I don't pay attention to trying to get ahead, I start to just kind of move towards where I'm supposed to go. And that's what we've got to answer. That's the question we've got to answer. What do you want to do, and where do you want to flow? Because when you start to look at where you want to go and what you want, what your true purpose is and what your life is and what you want it to be, what makes you feel good, you start naturally gravitating that, and then doors kind of just open for you. You meet people, and a lot of people will say that's kind of weird, and maybe that's a law of attraction and kind of that thing, and maybe a lot of people don't believe in that. But I can tell you from experience, as I've started to really not focus on all the things that I want, or I start to kind of focus on not that I don't want. I want great things, right? I think about the goals and the things I want to be successful in. But as I kind of let loose and kind of just go towards what naturally I'm good at, or naturally I feel is my path, things just happen to work out. And I think that's where you've got to get down to, what do you want out of life? And it changes constantly, right? I've noticed that change is something that is always going to happen, and it's how we embrace that change that we find ourselves in greater ways, right? We find greater ways to accomplish things as we allow ourselves to, embody in that change. Things aren't always going to be the same. And that's the great thing about life, is things are always changing. Sometimes they change for, what you think is the worst, but you learn so much out of it that it helps you to get ahead later on in life. Or, in a year, weeks, things just change so frequently for you that you've got to be able to embrace it. You've got to be able to say, hey, what's going on? Kind of look at it and say, hey, this is going on right now, but how am I going to get better out of this? And a lot of the times when you start to focus on the greater things out of this, right? My friend always says it gets greater later. And I think it's interesting when you really think about that. Things are going to get greater later, but they can be great now. And that's what we've got to focus on. We've got to focus on what we want out of our life. And that's how we kind of clear that way for success. We don't focus on it as much because we're already on that path of what we want to accomplish. And I think that's something that we miss often. And that's something I miss often. As I go through life, I kind of look at, there's times where, I'm maybe not as motivated or ready to rock and roll, or I'm not as inspired. But when it comes down to it, when we start to, really get away from focusing on, I have to be successful at this because of this, that's when we find our greatest success. So I thought that quote was amazing, and it was a very big eye-opener. And same thing with that, just kind of that poem, at the end of the day, we are born to fly. It's our choice to be able to get up and do it. And we've got to look at life as a great gift and use your gifts, right? And those gifts that you're given, a lot of the times we are so focused on the things that we weren't given that we start to lose focus on the things that have made us great and will continue to make us great, and be able to, kind of spread that love to other people and be able to embrace ourselves. As we embrace ourselves and, shower ourselves with love, then we can spread that throughout, the world, and be able to, spread that positivity through to other people. And I think that is a really, really important gift that we have, is we have the ability to share love. And love is a great thing. And it's one of the most important things that you can give, is give love to other people. And that kind of helps to inspire and to, help people, stay motivated. You never know what you're doing now could affect somebody's life, right? And in a great way, right? You never know. So I would challenge us to, really stop focusing on what success looks like, and just find in your heart what you want, what your gifts are, and what you want to accomplish, and start focusing on that instead of the end result. Because as we start to focus on the end result, that's when we become lost. That's when we become complacent. That's when we start digging ourselves down. And, a lot of the times when I start focusing on, I need to be successful, I need to do this, I need to do that, I miss all these things that, if I just would focus on being the best me, I would be able to find my way quicker, right? Instead of going through that. And sometimes I like, and sometimes I don't think I like the challenge. It's nice to go through the challenging times because that helps you to be better and helps you to see other things moving forward. So you've just got to be aware of how you're looking at things. Stop focusing on this, on the success and happiness, and allow yourself to live life the best way you can. And as you do that, you will find that success, you'll find that happiness, and maybe you won't feel as empty inside, because sometimes that's how I feel. I've gone through depression, I've gone through anxiety, when I started to focus on all those things and how I can get better and get greater, instead of focusing on the things that I felt like maybe weren't as big of a challenge, not necessarily a challenge, but that I felt, instead of focusing on those things and how I can correct it, when I started to, work on, just writing in a journal, or, going for walks and, doing all these things, those things kind of went away. It really kind of went away. I started to focus on great things. I started to focus on more positive things, and started focusing on all the right things that are going on in my life versus all the negative things. So just do the best you can, right? Don't focus on success, because you will find success by not focusing on it. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, it sounds a little weird, but that's how it works. And I know from my experience, and from a lot of people that I speak with and coach, a lot of that is the best way to find success. So just wanted